The mission begins. Last Thursday afternoon, I decided to visit Freshmart, the biggest supermarket in my neighborhood. It seemed like a simple task. Just pick up some ingredients for dinner. But as someone still learning English, I've discovered that grocery shopping is like entering a linguistic obstacle course, where every aisle presents a new challenge. Armed with my handwritten shopping list and a pocket dictionary, I grabbed a shopping cart and stepped through the automatic doors. The first thing that hit me wasn't the cool air conditioning or the smell of fresh bread. It was the overwhelming amount of English everywhere. Signs, labels, announcements, and conversations swirled around me like a tornado of words. "Welcome to Freshmart. Don't forget to check out our weekly specials," boomed a voice from the speakers above. I nodded to no one in particular and pushed my cart forward, already feeling like I was taking a pop quiz I hadn't prepared for. Chapter 2. The Produce Section Puzzle. My first stop was the produce section. I needed tomatoes. Something that should be straightforward, right? Wrong. I found myself staring at a colorful display with at least 8 different types of tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, beef tomatoes, grape tomatoes, and something called tomatoes on the vine. A friendly employee with a green apron approached me. "Can I help you find something?" I panicked. Yes, tomatoes for cooking," he smiled warmly. "What are you making? That'll help me recommend the right type." "Making?" I repeated, buying time while my brain translated. "Oh, making pasta sauce." "Perfect. You'll want these Roma tomatoes. They're meaty and perfect for sauce." She handed me a plastic bag. "And these are on sale today. £2 for $5. I nodded enthusiastically, even though I wasn't entirely sure what meaty meant when talking about tomatoes. I made a mental note to look it up later. Next, I needed lettuce. Again, the choices overwhelmed me. Iceberg lettuce, romaine lettuce, butter lettuce, arugula, which I learned isn't actually lettuce, and something called spring mix. A woman next to me was examining the lettuce leaves carefully, holding them up to the light. "Excuse me," I ventured. "Which lettuce is good?" She looked surprised but pleased to help. "Well, it depends what you're using it for. Iceberg is crunchy but doesn't have much flavor. Romaine is great for Caesar salad. This butter lettuce is really tender." "Tender?" I asked. "Soft," she explained, demonstrating by gently touching a leaf. "Not tough to chew." I thanked her and chose the butter lettuce, adding another word to my growing mental vocabulary list. Chapter 3. The Dairy Dilemma. The dairy section proved to be another adventure. I needed milk, but the wall of white containers confused me. Whole milk, 2% milk, 1% milk, skim milk, lactose-free milk, almond milk, oat milk, soy milk. The percentages particularly puzzled me. What did they mean? An older gentleman was reaching for a gallon of milk nearby. I gathered my courage and asked, "Excuse me, sir, what is difference between 2% and whole milk?" He paused, clearly thinking about how to explain it simply. "Well, it's about fat content. Whole milk has about 3.5% fat, 2% has 2% fat, and so on. The more fat, the creamier it tastes." "Ah, fat content," I repeated, finally understanding. "Thank you very much." "No problem, young man, we've all been there." I chose 2% milk and moved on to find yogurt. The yogurt section was even more bewildering. Greek yogurt, regular yogurt, low-fat yogurt, non-fat yogurt, flavored yogurt, plain yogurt, and something called skyr that I'd never heard of before. I stood there for several minutes, reading labels and trying to understand words like probiotic, cultures, and strained. Finally, I just grabbed a container of plain Greek yogurt, because it seemed like the safest choice. Chapter 4. The Meat Counter Challenge. The meat counter was where I faced my biggest challenge yet. I needed ground beef for tacos, but I had no idea how to ask for it properly. The butcher, a large man with a friendly smile, noticed me standing there looking lost. "What can I get for you today?" he asked. "I need beef for tacos," I said slowly. "Ground beef? How much do you need?" "Ground beef," I repeated, learning the correct term. For 4 people?" "I'd say about 1.5 pounds should do it. Would you like lean or regular?" "Lean?" I questioned, unfamiliar with this distinction. "Lean has less fat, regular has more fat. For tacos, regular is fine. It has more flavor." "Regular, please." He weighed it out and wrapped it in white paper. "Anything else?" We've got some great steaks on sale today. I shook my head, already feeling overwhelmed by the interaction, but proud that I'd successfully communicated what I needed. Chapter 5. The Condiment Confusion. Finding ketchup should have been easy, but the condiment aisle was like a maze of similar-looking bottles. Ketchup, catsup, which I later learned was the same thing, organic ketchup, sugar-free ketchup, spicy ketchup, and even purple ketchup. I also needed soy sauce, which led me to the international food section. Here, I felt a bit more at home, recognizing familiar brands and characters from my home country. But I still had to figure out the difference between light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and low-sodium soy sauce. A young woman was also shopping in this section, and she seemed to know what she was looking for. "Excuse me," I said, "do you know about soy sauce?" "Oh sure. Light soy sauce is saltier and used for seasoning. Dark soy sauce is sweeter and used for color. Low sodium is just healthier if you're watching your salt intake." "Thank you. Very helpful." She smiled and continued shopping. I chose the light soy sauce and moved on. Chapter 6. The Frozen Food Frenzy. The frozen food section was a winter wonderland of options. I needed frozen vegetables, but the variety was staggering. Mixed vegetables, individual vegetables, organic vegetables, vegetables in sauce, steamed vegetables, and something called California blend. The cold air made me shiver as I opened freezer door after freezer door, reading labels and trying to understand terms like flash frozen, steam in bag, and no preservatives added. I finally settled on a bag of mixed vegetables that showed pictures of broccoli, carrots, and cauliflower. At least I could recognize what was inside. Chapter 7. The Bread Aisle Bewilderment. The bread aisle presented yet another vocabulary test. White bread, wheat bread, whole wheat bread, multigrain bread, sourdough bread, rye bread, pumpernickel bread, and something called artisan bread. A bakery employee was restocking the shelves. "Looking for anything particular?" she asked. "Just normal bread?" I said, feeling somewhat embarrassed. She laughed kindly. "I know what you mean. This whole wheat is probably your best bet for everyday sandwiches. It's healthy, but not too heavy." "Whole wheat," I repeated, taking the loaf she offered. "And if you're interested, we bake fresh bread every morning. The sourdough is really popular." I nodded politely, though I wasn't sure what made sourdough special or different from regular bread. Chapter 8. The Checkout Countdown. Finally, with my cart full of carefully selected items, I approached the checkout area. The sight of multiple lanes with different signs confused me immediately. Express lane, 10 items or less, self-checkout, regular checkout, and customer service. I counted my items, definitely more than 10, so I got in a regular checkout line behind a woman with a cart full of groceries. This gave me time to observe and prepare for the interaction ahead. The cashier, a teenager with bright blue hair, greeted me with a smile. "Hi, how's your day going?" This casual greeting caught me off guard. "Good, thank you," I managed to reply. She began scanning my items with impressive speed. "Did you find everything you needed today?" "Yes, I found everything," I said, proud of my response. "Great. Do you have a Freshmart rewards card?" I stared at her blankly. "Rewards card? It's free, and gives you discounts on sale items. Would you like to sign up?" The word sign up worried me. I imagined paperwork and complications. "No thank you," I said quickly. She continued scanning. "Paper or plastic?" Another choice I hadn't expected. I looked at the bags and pointed to the plastic ones. "Plastic, please." "Would you like to donate $1 to the local food bank today?" "Donate?" I repeated. "Give money to help feed hungry families in the community." That I understood. "Yes, okay." She finished scanning and said, "Your total is $47.83. Will that be cash or card?" "Card," I said, relieved to understand this question. I inserted my card and waited. The machine beeped and displayed a message I couldn't read clearly. "It's asking for your PIN," the cashier explained. I entered my PIN, and the machine printed a receipt. "Your receipt is printing. Have a wonderful evening." "Thank you, you too," I replied, feeling proud of my polite response. Chapter 9. The Reflection Outside the Store. I loaded my groceries into my car and took a moment to reflect on the experience. My pocket dictionary had remained unused, but my mental vocabulary had expanded significantly. I'd learned about meat cuts, milk fat content, bread types, and checkout procedures. More importantly, I'd realized that most people were patient and helpful when I asked questions. My fear of making mistakes had been worse than the actual mistakes themselves. The cashier didn't laugh when I hesitated. The other customers didn't seem annoyed when I asked for explanations. I thought about all the new words I'd encountered: tender, lean, flash frozen, artisan, multigrain, probiotic, donate, and many others. Each shopping trip was like attending a vocabulary class, where the lessons were practical and immediately useful. Now let's learn about words that we've heard today. Vocabulary learning section. Let me share some of the key words and phrases I encountered during my supermarket adventure. Produce section. Heirloom tomatoes, special old varieties of tomatoes, tomatoes on the vine, tomatoes still attached to their stem. Meaty, having substance, thick when describing tomatoes. Spring mix, a combination of young tender lettuce leaves, arugula, a leafy green with a peppery taste, not actually lettuce. Dairy, lactose-free, milk processed so people with lactose intolerance can drink it. Greek yogurt, thick yogurt that's been strained. Cultures, beneficial bacteria in yogurt. Skyr, a thick, protein-rich yogurt from Iceland. Meat counter, ground beef, beef that's been chopped up very small. Lean, having little fat. Regular, having normal amount of fat. Butcher, the person who cuts and sells meat. Condiment aisle, catsup, another word for ketchup. Organic, made without artificial chemicals. Sugar-free, made without added sugar. Low sodium, made with less salt than usual. Frozen foods, flash frozen, frozen very quickly to preserve quality. Steam in bag, vegetables that can be cooked in their bag in the microwave. No preservatives added, no chemicals added to make food last longer. California blend, a mix of broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. Bread aisle, whole wheat, bread made from flour that includes the entire wheat grain. Multigrain, bread made with several different types of grain. Sourdough, bread made with a special fermented starter that gives it a tangy flavor. Artisan, bread made by skilled bakers using traditional methods. Pumpernickel, a dark, dense bread made with rye flour. Checkout, express lane, a checkout line for customers with few items. Self-checkout, machines where customers scan their own items. Rewards card, a card that gives discounts to regular customers. Sign up, to register for something. Food bank, an organization that provides food to people who need it. PIN, personal identification number used with debit cards. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.